Sri Lanka ve prathama warata SLT 4G within then Pure TV naramanna ඉදිරියටම ගෙන යන SLT 4G
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට
Tonight, somber celebrations. Sri Lanka celebrates another Easter Sunday under a cloud as faithful urge to celebrate at home. Looming liberty. Director General of Health Services predicts end to curfew this month. Final say. Health Minister issues official guidelines for handling COVID-19 remains. Dark days ahead. World Bank warns Sri Lanka to brace itself for a recession as growth estimates dwindle. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Sunday the 12th of April 2020.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
ඔය 69යි 97ට SMS කර රුපියල් මිලියන 3ක මුල් තැන්ගේ උපකරණ දිනාගෙන අවුරුද්දෙම කුස්සිය ටයිම් සේව් කරගන්න.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Thamike Kanayaka. Now, with reports mounting on the continued misuse of curfew permits by members of the public, the police appeal to citizens to not misplace the trust that the government has placed in them and to maintain health and safety precautions issued in the public interest. Meanwhile, with the country's Sinhala and Tamil communities on the cusp of the New Year celebrations, the message is very simple. Avoid mass gatherings, stay at home and celebrate the New Year with just your families.
The President's Media Division released an update on the curfew yesterday, leaving the curfew in the districts of Colombo, Gampa, Kalutara, Puttalam, Jaffna and Kandy, which are identified as COVID-19 high-risk zones, in place until further notice. However, it revised the date on which the curfew in the rest of the 19 districts will be lifted. Accordingly, the next window of free movement in those areas will come at 6 a.m. on Thursday the 16th for 10 hours, with the curfew being reimposed at 4 p.m. on the same day. Previously, the curfew was to be lifted on Tuesday the 14th. In the meantime, certain areas which are in isolation owing to the COVID-19 risk will also be under curfew until further notice. The government requests members of the public to act responsibly during this time, reminding them that all these measures are taken in order to control the spread of COVID-19 within the country. What's more, the government also urges people to only purchase essential goods and avoid any unnecessary journeys, while advising people to celebrate the Sinhala and Tamil New Year only with family members, avoiding any mass gatherings. Meanwhile, law enforcement authorities continue to crack down on curfew violations and the misuse of curfew permits. It has also been made mandatory to wear face masks if and when people venture outdoors. Although the government is constantly reminding people of the importance of staying indoors as it wrestles with the virus pandemic in the country, for some the message has not hit home. Officers of the Maladana police had to come down hard on people who are loitering in the streets. Officers of the Rajangane police meanwhile arrested 4 suspects who were transporting cattle with the use of a permit issued to transport coconuts. With such errant behaviour coming to light, Head of Traffic Police DIG Ajit Rona had this warning to those who misuse the limited liberties afforded during the curfew.
ලබා දෙන ලද බලපත්‍ර ඒවා අවභාවිතා කරන බවට තොරතුරු ලැබී තිබෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඔබට ඔබගේ සේවයේ වටිනාකම ඒ වගේම ඔබ විසින් ඔබ ගැන විශ්වාසයකින් යුතුව ඔබගේ හැඳුනුම්පත ඇඳිරි නීති බලපත්‍රය ලෙස භාවිතා කිරීමට අවසර ලබා දී තිබෙනවා. ඇඳිරි නීති බලපත්‍රයේ හැටියට ඔබේ හැඳුනුම්පත පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් ඔබ සපයන විශිෂ්ට සේවාව වෙනුවෙන්. ඔබගේ නිවසේ සිට ඔබ සේවාව සපයන ආයතනයට පැමිණෙන්න, ඒ වගේම සේවාව සපයන ආයතනයේ සිට නැවත ඔබට නිවසට යාමට. කෙසේ වෙතත් මෙම තත්ත්වය අවභාවිතා වන බවක් සමහර ස්ථානවලදී දක්නට ලැබුණා. හෙට දිනේ මේ සම්බන්ධ විශේෂ පොලිස් කණ්ඩායම් යෙදවීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. අපේ රටේ නිතරම ජනතාව ප්‍රකාශ කරනු ලබන කාරණයක් වන්නේ කවදා දිනක මේ ඇඳිරි නීති ඉවත් වෙයිද, කවදා පාසල් විවෘත කරන්න වෙයිද, කවදා ජීවිතයේ යථා තත්ත්වයට පත් වෙයිද මේ කාරණා පිළිබඳව. ඒ සියල්ල තීරණය කළ යුතු ජනතාව. රජයක් හැටියට, ඒ වගේම රාජ්‍ය යාන්ත්‍රණය හැටියට, සෞඛ්‍ය සේවාවන් විදියට ඒ පාර්ශවයෙන් කෙරෙන්න තියෙන උපරිම කටයුතු මේ වන විට සිදු වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. දැන් ඉතිරි 50% තියෙන්නේ ජනතාවගේ අතේ.
Meanwhile, the acting Inspector General of Police has instructed the deployment of more police patrols as there are reports of plans to organize small-scale festivals in rural areas. With the spike in the illegal production of liquor, at a time when its sale is also banned, more raids were conducted island-wide to nab those producing illicit liquor. One such raid conducted in the area of Othakale in Jayala led to the arrest of 2 suspects. Elsewhere in Mihintale, police officers arrested a guest house owner and his assistant for using the premises for illegal liquor production. Valimana police also nabbed 11 suspects for the same offence. In the south of the country, Beliath police apprehended a suspect who produced liquor in a jungle in the area of Agulmaduwa. However, another suspect had managed to flee the scene. In the meantime, officials of the Consumer Affairs Authority in the Gampa district raided an establishment in Vattala where corn and gram flour was mixed with chili, turmeric and curry powder. The authorities came to know of the racket following an inspection at the Manning market yesterday. The suspects are to be produced before the Vattala Magistrates Court. Although masters have fallen in line with the government's instructions to stay at home during curfew hours, some are trapped far from their homes. The district secretary of Colombo said that nearly 19,000 people are trapped in Colombo, unable to reach home owing to movement restrictions. In the meantime, the President's Media Division last evening announced that the second term of government schools will start on the 11th of May. The term was previously set to start on the 20th of April, but it had to be pushed back to curb the possible spread of COVID-19. Meanwhile, the University Grants Commission stated that staff at universities are required to report to work on the 4th of May.
උපකුලපතිවරුන්ට සම්පූර්ණ බලය පැවරෙනවා අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවා සඳහා අත්‍යවශ්‍ය ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩල සහ අනධ්‍යයන කාර්ය මණ්ඩලය කැඳවීම සඳහා 11 වෙනිදා අප බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා සියලුම අවසන් වසර සිසුන් විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ අධ්‍යයන කටයුතු සඳහා කැඳවන්න. වෛද්‍ය පීඨය 5 වෙනි වසර සියලුම විශේෂ උපාධි සහ ගෞරව උපාධි 4 වෙනි වසර සහ සාමාන්‍ය උපාධිවල 3 වෙනි වසර. ඒ අනුව සියලුම සිසුන්ගේ අවසන් වසර අධ්‍යයන කටයුතු ආරම්භ කරන්නේ 11 වෙනිදා මැයි මාසයේ. 18 වෙනිදා ඊළඟ සඳුදා අනිකුත් සියලුම සුදරුවන් සඳහා අධ්‍යයන කටයුතු එනම් පළවෙනි දෙවෙනි සහ තුන්වෙනි අවුරුදු සඳහා ආරම්භ කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. සියලුම විශ්වවිද්‍යාලවලට ඉසුන් විසින් සියලුම ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩලය සහ සේවක මණ්ඩලයේ පිළිපැදිය යුතු සියලුම කොන්දේසි ඇතුළත් චක්‍රලේඛයක් මේට ප්‍රථමව නිකුත් කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
රජයේ පාසල් පද්ධතිය විවෘත වීමෙන් පසු සති දෙකක කාලයක් අපි ලබා දෙනවා උසස් පෙළ සමත් සිසුන්ට විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ප්‍රවේශය සඳහා අයදුම් කරන්න. යනුව මැයි 25 වෙනිදා දක්වා නිදහස තිබෙනවා. කිසිසේත් බියක් සැකයක් ඇති කරගත යුතු නැහැ. පාසල පටන් ගැනීමෙන් පසු සති දෙකක් ඇතුළත විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ප්‍රවේශය සඳහා අයදුම්පත් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Now, health officials reported 5 new cases of COVID-19 infections today, along with 1 recovery, bringing total active cases currently under treatment across the country to 140. Meanwhile, the government has increased PCR testing among suspected cases, giving frontline healthcare workers a clear picture as to the current virus threats in risk areas. And Director General of Health Services Anil Jasinghe stated that if Sri Lanka maintains its strict health and safety measures, the curfew across the country could be lifted sometime within the month of April.
Sri Lanka's total number of COVID-19 cases reported since the beginning of the outbreak in the country stands at 203 today, after 5 more cases were detected in the past 24 hours. The number of recoveries, meanwhile, increased by 2. This brings the total active cases currently undergoing treatment to 140, along with 165 under observation. The country's recovery rate saw a slight rise today, registering at 27.5%. Recovery rates in some of the hardest hit countries across the world have seen a gradual increase in the past week. 4 patients out of the 5 reported today are residents of Beruwala, who were earlier sent to the Punani Quarantine Centre. Meanwhile, it has been revealed that 15 employees of the Colombo North Teaching Hospital Sanitation Unit have been identified among the persons exposed to COVID-19 patients in Suduwala, Jayala.
සුදුවැල්ල සිද්ධිය අර ත්‍රිරෝධ රථ කරුවා ඔහු විවිධ තැන්වල මේ සංචරණයේ යෙදිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව මුල් දිනේ 32ක් මේ රැගෙන ගියා. ඒ අනුව ඒ අයගේ සාම්පල් ගත්තා. ඒ අයගෙන් තමයි 5 දෙනෙක් මේ COVID-19 රෝගීන් හැටියට හඳුනාගත්තේ. ඒන් අනතුරුව ඔවුන් ආශ්‍රය කරන තව පිරිසකගේ ගත්තා. ඒ වගේම ගම්පහ ඔවුන් සංචරණය කරපු ඒ ප්‍රදේශවල මේ සාම්පල ගත්තා. ඒ වගේම ඒ අය නිරෝධායනට ලක් කරා. මේ අතරේ හමු වුණා රාගම රෝහලේ විශේෂයෙන් පවිත්‍රතා අංශයේ සේවය කරන අය. ඒ අය දැන් මේ අද උදෑසන ඔවුනුත් රැගෙන යනු ලබනවා නිරෝධායනය සඳහා. ඔවුන්ව වෙනම ස්ථානයක දැන්ට රඳවා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, 208 individuals under quarantine at the Punani Centre were subjected to PCR testing yesterday. PCR test samples from a further 89 individuals from Colombo, Jaffna, Ampara and Gampaha were also obtained.
ඊයේ දිනේ සුවිශේෂයි ශ්‍රී ලංකා යුද හමුදාවත් සෞඛ්‍ය ශාස්ත්‍රයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා මේ PCR පරීක්ෂණ වලට සම්බන්ධ වුණා. ඒ අනුව ඊයේ දවසට පමණක් පූනානි නිරෝධායන මධ්‍යස්ථානයෙන් එක මධ්‍යස්ථානයෙන් එපමණ ප්‍රමාණයක් 300කට අධික ප්‍රමාණයක් PCR පරීක්ෂණ ඊයේ දවසට විතරක් පූනානි වලදී කරුණු ලැබුවා. ඔවුන්ගේ පරීක්ෂණ වාර්තා බොහෝ දුරට අද දින හෝ හෙට දින ලැබෙයි. ඒ අනුව ඔවුන්ට මේ ආසාදෙනී විලා නැත්තම් ඔවුන් පිටත් කිරීමට අපිට කටයුතු කරනවා. මීට වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් කරන්න හැකියාවක් තිබෙනවා. නමුත් විශේෂයෙන්ම අර කියපු දිනවකවානු නැත්තම් සමහරට පළවෙනි දිනේ දෙවෙනි දිනේදී මේ PCR පරීක්ෂණය කරොත් ඒ ආකාරයට ආසාදිතද නැද්ද කියන එක හොයාගන්න බැරි වෙයි කියන අදහසකුත් තියෙනවා. ඒ වුණොත් නැවත වතාවක් PCR පරීක්ෂණයක් කරන්න වෙයි කියලා. ඉතින් ඒක හින්දා තමයි අපි අර දින 10-14 කාල සීමාව තෝරගෙන තිබෙන්නේ.
Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinga meanwhile expressed satisfaction in the measures adopted so far and predicted that the curfew could be lifted this month if the country's curve remains at its current level.
තාම අපි දකින්නේ පැහැදිලිව මේ රෝගියෙකු හා සම්බන්ධ රෝගීන් තමයි අපිට හමුවන්නේ. අපිට පැහැදිලිව පෙන්눔 කරන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද හැදුනේ කියන එක. ඉතින් මේක තමයි කියන්නේ අර පිටාර ගැලීම වැළැක්වීම තමයි තාම තියෙන්නේ. කියන්නේ යම් කිසි දෙයකින් සමාජයට මේ රෝගයේ පිටාර ගැලුව විශාල අමාරුවක වැටෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන් අපි දැන් මේ අවස්ථාවේ සාම්පල ගැනීම වැඩි කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් ඊයේත් හවස 5 වන විට කියන්නේ පැය 24ක් තුළ 393ක් සාම්පල ගත්තා. ඊයේ වුණත් මේ අක්කරේපත්තු ප්‍රදේශයේ අර කටාර් සංචාරයේ යෙදුණු කෙනාගේ භාර්යාව රෝගියෙක් බවට පත් වුණා. ඇය වුණත් නිරෝධායනට ලක් වෙලා තමයි හිටියේ. ඒ වගේම පෙරේද දිනේ රත්නපුර රෝගීන් දෙදෙනා ආශ්‍රිත අය 58 දිනක්ගේ ගත්තා. ඒ 58ම රෝගීන් නොවන බවට තහවුරු වුණා. විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි බැලුවා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේ බීජ ඖෂධ සමයන් දෙකක් පමණ අර ඒ අවස්ථාවේ ඉඳලා ගියාම මේක අඩු වෙයි කියලා. මොකද චීනයේ සහ කොරියාවේ අත්දැකීම් මේ ආකාරයට තමයි පෙන්눔 කරන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා අපි හිතනවා මේ ඇඳිරි නීතියේ ඉවත් වීම මේ මාසය තුල කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි මේ තත්වයන් සාධනීය තත්වයකට අපි පත් කරගත්තොත්.
In the meantime, 67 individuals from the Ratnapura district who were quarantined at the Army's Diatalava Centre after being identified as having had contact with the mother and child of the Ratnapura gem businessman were released back to their homes after PCR tests had come back negative for the virus. So far, the Armed Forces run quarantine centres have successfully processed a total of 3,556 persons who have completed the mandatory 14-day quarantine and returned home. Meanwhile, a Gazette notification was issued by Minister of Health and Indigenous Medicine Pavitra Vaniarachi, which amends provisions of the Quarantine and Disease Prevention Ordinance. The new provisions outline measures to be followed in dealing with the remains of a COVID-19 patient and calls for the cremation of victims under the direction of the Director General of Health Services. According to the new guidelines, victims' remains are to be cremated at a temperature between 800 to 1200 degrees Celsius from 45 minutes to an hour. The Gazette also prohibits the remains of a suspected COVID-19 victim from being handed over to any person other than officials in charge of cremation. Further, it says that the ashes of the victim must only be handed over to a close family member. Just as all necessary precautions are taken to curb the spread of the virus on land, Sri Lanka's security forces have tightened measures around the country's maritime borders as well to prevent any illegal entry by possible COVID-19 carriers into the country. Understanding the importance of morale during these trying times, doctors and staff at the Vadikanda Hospital in Polonnaruwa have taken steps to boost the spirits of patients under their care. Security forces too got in on the act and held musical performance in several areas of the Colombo city to boost the morale of residents stuck in housing complexes during the curfew. The Sri Lanka Navy was seen performing to residents of the Ketarama Public Housing Complex and the Kamkarupura Public Housing Complex in Grand Pass. The Air Force Band meanwhile performed to residents of the Midusenpura Public Housing Complex. Meanwhile, the residents of Trillium Apartments in Boralla were treated to a performance by the Army Band.
කොරෝනා වෛරසය පැතිරීම වළක්වන්න සබන් යොදා දෑත් සෝදන්න.
Now, with the prevailing curfew situation in the country, the government continues to make sure that people are given access to essential services. Now, although that is the case, most people are able to avail these services. There are some pockets of people who are inadvertently left unattended.
The government program to purchase vegetables from farmers and have them delivered to homes began today in the Anuradhapura district, with the civil security forces tasked with implementing the program. Meanwhile, in Bandarawala, after the wholesale vegetable market was shut down, vendors from the market sold their produce along the roadsides. In Colombo, residents of Obesekarapura took to the streets despite the curfew in effect, in protest of the inefficiencies that have occurred in the process of delivering required essentials to homes. In the meantime, farmers within the Galevela Divisional Secretariat had an unpleasant surprise when they went to sell their produce. The farmers had been told that their produce will be purchased by the Galevela Divisional Secretariat. Upon arriving at the Devahua Agrarian Services Centre, however, the farmers were left baffled since there was no one at the establishment. Meanwhile, the Colombo Manning Market will close today to be reopened on the 17th of April, owing to the Sinhala and Tamil New Year. With the prevailing situation in mind, the Department of Mechanical and Manufacturing Studies of the Faculty of Engineering of the University of Ruhuna built a ventilator which was presented to the Prime Minister today. In Anuradhapura and Mahavilachya, there has been a high yield of pumpkins. As such, the government has instructed the relevant district secretary to take measures to purchase the surplus and distribute it among low-income families of Colombo. The Ceylon Fisheries Corporation, meanwhile, with the cooperation of divisional secretariats, launched a program today to sell fish door-to-door. In the meantime, it was reported that 70 families in the area of Kubukkana of Munragala are currently facing hardships as they haven't received any of the government allowances.
We will see you again shortly after this break. Stay tuned.
නිෂ්පාදිත දිනය කවදත් අලුත් වටවල තේ අරගන්න.
වටවල තේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ තේ එක.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, with the terror attacks of last year still fresh in the minds of all Sri Lankans, the country's Christian community celebrated another somber Easter Sunday, this time under the cloud of COVID-19 outbreak. As the first year anniversary of the Easter Sunday attacks looms in the coming days, people across the island still remain in a sense of limbo, with no public gatherings allowed to commemorate the 259 deaths that resulted from the deadly suicide bombings last year. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today issued an Easter message to Sri Lanka's Christians and urged them to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ at home by heeding the health and safety protocols issued by the authorities.
As Christians the world over celebrate Easter Sunday, the day when Jesus Christ conquered death and rose up in accordance with the scriptures, Sri Lankans today remember the devastating terror attacks last year that claimed the lives of 259 people and injured 500 others. Easter last year was full of hope and expectations, as families look forward to gathering together for what is the most important Christian celebration, but those hopes were cut short by the terror attacks. This year, however, the situation has almost reversed, with Christians wanting to but unable to due to social distancing protocols and with church services suspended, keeping celebrations within immediate families alone. This year again, celebrations have been subdued in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic situation in the country, with island-wide curfew remaining in place to contain the spread of the virus. The President reminded the public of the events of last year, where a day of joy and hope turned into one of the darkest days experienced in recent times, a day that the country will never easily forget. He reiterated the government's commitment to seeking justice and security of the people while ensuring the eradication of such tragedies in the future. President Gotabaya also urged the country's Christian community to heed the advice of health authorities and remain in their homes while paying obeisance to the Son of God. The message added that the somber reflection practiced by the faithful, recalling the crucifixion, suffering, sacrifice and death of Christ during the Lent period, will help the community to spread the message of love, peace and harmony among their brethren.
Meanwhile, in his customary Easter Sunday message, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that it is the government's responsibility to work towards preventing a repeat of the deadly attacks during the Easter Sunday celebrations last year. In this backdrop, the Prime Minister reminded the Christian faithful of the dangers the country faces currently with the COVID-19 pandemic and appreciates the gestures of the Christian community for deciding to celebrate the message of Easter and engage in religious activities at home without the traditional religious observances. As members of the public continue to be confined to their homes amid the countrywide curfew, AdaDerana continues to provide relief to them. The program is also supported by the staff of the Valikata prison. Our relief campaign has been gaining momentum, with Anchor also joining hands with AdaDerana, donating a disinfection cubicle. The Lions Club of Malabe and Dialogue Relief Services were also with us from the very beginning. In addition, the LOLC group recently joined hands with the AdaDerana humanitarian operation, giving it more strength. Accordingly, LOLC group recently donated protective gear and other safety kits to the Army Hospital in Colombo. This program with LOLC will be conducted further, covering other hospitals which also treat COVID-19 patients. Now, former UNP parliamentarian Mujibur Rahman says that in the midst of efforts to curb the COVID-19 virus, the government is currently focused on holding parliamentary elections and urges the Election Commission to give a clear verdict on the situation to the public. In the meantime, parliamentarian Anurakumara Disanayake, ex-parliamentarian I should say, that the focus of political parties should be to relieve the people of the situation and the country is in and not work on their selfish desires.
රජය ඉතා ඉක්මනින් මැතිවරණයකට යන්න ඕමනාවක් තියෙන බව දැන් යම් කරුණු අරහා පෙනී යනවා. මැයි 11 වෙනි දිනට ජනාධිපති මාධ්‍ය අංශය මගින් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කළා පාසල් නැවත පටන් ගන්නවයි කියන එක. නමුත් අපිට පේනවා මේ රජය දැන් කොහොම හරි මැයි 30 වෙනිදාට කලින් ඡන්දය පැවැත්වන්න ඕනේ. ඔවුන්ගේ බලය නැවත තාවුරු කරගන්න ඕනේ. ජනතාවගේ ජීවිත පිළිබඳ කිසිම හැඟීමක් නොකර මැතිවරණය කෙසේ හෝ පවත්වන්න ඕනේ කියන අදහස අද වෙනකොට එළියට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවායි කියන එක කියන්න ඕනේ. මේක ඊටාම භයානක තත්ත්වයක්. ඒ හින්දා අපි මැතිවරණ කොමිෂන් සභාවෙන් ඉල්ලනවා ආණ්ඩුවේ දේශපාලන උවමනාවල් වලට හවුල් නොවි ආණ්ඩුවේ දේශපාලන උවමනාව ඉෂ්ට නොකර මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ පැත්තේ ඉඳගෙන වහාම මැතිවරණ කොමිෂන් සභාව පැහැදිලි තීන්දුවක් මේ රටේ ජනතාවට ලබා දී යුතුයි කියන අදහස අපි කියන්න කැමතියි.
දේශපාලන ව්‍යාපාර බලය හොබන කණ්ඩායම් අපි හැමදෙනාගේම ප්‍රමුඛතම කාර්ය බවට පත් විය යුතු වන්නේ ජනතාව අතුරු අන්තරාකාරී තත්ත්වයකට පත් කරනවාද ඒ මුදවා ගන්නවාද කියන සාධකය. එසේ නැතුව තමන්ගේ පටු සහසික බල උවමනාව වෙනුවෙන් දියත් කරන ප්‍රයත්නය මේ රටේ ජනතාව පරාජයට පත් කළ යුතු කියන ස්ථාවරයක් අපි සිටිනවා. එහෙමනම් ජුනි මාසයේ 2 වෙනිදාට පෙර මැතිවරණය පවත්වන නොහැකියාවක් ඇති වුණොත් ඇතින ව්‍යවස්ථා අර්බුදයට විසඳුම් ලබා ගත හැකි වන්නේ කෙසේද? අන් කවරක්වත් නෙවෙයි මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ යලි කැඳවීමේ හැකියාවක් ජනාධිපතිවරයාට තිබෙනවා. මේ සියල්ල තිබෙන ජනාධිපතිවරයා අතේ ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ අවස්ථා දෙකක් තිබෙනවා පාර්ලිමේන්තුව කැඳවීම සඳහා ඔහුට ඉඩකඩ විවෘත කර ගැනීම.
Now, following the decision by the government on the 18th of March to allocate an official opposition leader's residence to former opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, the government has communicated to the Samangi Janabalawegya leader that any use of the residence during election time may be liable to a monthly rental payment. Accordingly, a payment has been made by Premadasa to the state for the use of the residence located on Sir Marcus Fernando Mouth in Colombo 7 for such use up to middle of May.
Following the dissolution of Parliament by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on the 2nd of March, leaving many MPs minus their parliamentary privileges, a decision was taken by the Cabinet on the 18th of March to grant the former leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, an official residence. Secretary to the opposition, Abdul Naufal Rahman, has accordingly sent a letter to Sajith Premadasa yesterday, conveying this decision to him. In the letter, the secretary had informed the former opposition leader that since the former leader of the opposition, R. Sambandhan, had been provided with an official residence, he should customarily be allocated a residence at the office of the leader of the opposition at Sir Marcus Fernando Mouth, Colombo 7. Rahman also informed Premadasa that if the residence is intended to be used during the parliamentary election, he would be entitled to pay a sum of Rs 100,000 to the government as monthly rental for the premises. Following this announcement, former opposition leader Sajid Premadasa has reportedly paid the monthly rental of Rs 100,000 yesterday and has accordingly acquired the residence until the 11th of May. Further, Rahman acknowledged the payment made by the former leader of the opposition via letter and added that due to the prevailing curfew situation in the country, he is unable to issue a receipt at this point in time and would do so once normalcy is restored.
We will see you again shortly after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the World Bank warns that Sri Lanka should brace itself for a recession with annual growth estimated between -3 and -0.5%. The gloomy outlook is not restricted to the island, as the World Bank also warns that South Asia as a region might well experience its worst economic performance in 40 years, with at least half of the countries falling deep in recession owing to the unprecedented COVID-19 crisis. The World Bank says that the unfolding COVID-19 economic crisis is unique since it is caused by supply constraints as opposed to normal downturns which are caused by lack of effective demand. Another peculiarity is that while usually GDP decelerates faster than consumption as consumers smooth their spending over economic cycles, this time consumption is falling sharply. The sudden disappearance of service sector jobs and the rise in food prices have created economic hardship, especially for people in the informal sector. The report estimates that regional growth will fall to a range between 1.8 and 2.8% in 2020, down from 6.3% projected 6 months ago. It also notes that Sri Lanka, along with Afghanistan and Pakistan, the full range of forecast GDP growth for this fiscal year is in the negative territory. The report says, quote, "For Sri Lanka, a recession is anticipated with annual growth estimated between -3 and -0.5%. The World Bank suggests a combination of temporary work programs and a moratorium on debt servicing and rent payments to help prepare for the restart of the economies. It goes on to say that after tackling the immediate COVID-19 threat, South Asian countries must keep their sovereign debt sustainable through fiscal prudence and debt relief initiatives. In the long run, South Asia would do well by diversifying its international connections, while there are great opportunities to expand digital technologies for payment systems and distant learning to unlock remote areas in South Asia. Now, the United States once again recorded the highest single-day death toll and remains the worst-hit nation from the novel coronavirus, having surpassed both Italy and Spain.
The novel coronavirus has affected 210 countries and more than 1.7 million people, with total fatalities now standing at 110,030. When looking at the past 24-hour forecast, the United States of America recorded the highest death toll once again at 1,830 in a single day. Furthermore, the USA counts the highest amount of infections and deaths in the world at the moment. Italy showed a spike in the 24-hour death toll with 619 in a day, which is 49 more from yesterday's toll. Furthermore, the country's total infections stood at 152,271. Elsewhere in Europe, Spain's death toll spiked up to 16,606, with 525 more deaths during the past 24 hours. However, Spain's daily death toll has seen a decline compared with yesterday's toll. France confirmed 635 deaths during the past 24 hours as infections surged to 129,654. In the meantime, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson recovered from the virus and left the hospital today. However, the UK's death toll spiked to 917 in the past 24 hours. Mainland China, meanwhile, recorded a spike in imported cases of infections, with 99 more cases recorded today. China's northeastern city of Suzhou on the country's border with Russia strengthened border controls as part of measures to prevent imported coronavirus cases. The city, which lies in the northeastern province of Heilongjiang, will also step up traffic restrictions and enforce strict quarantine measures, city authorities said in a statement. The city has already banned all types of gatherings and drawn up a list of businesses that must be suspended.
Now, firefighters were battling the bushfires in the Chernobyl exclusion zone yesterday, while the Ukrainian Ministry of Emergencies reported that dozens of hectares had burned to ashes. The fires were near the Chernobyl nuclear power station, which exploded in April 1986 and caused the world's worst nuclear accident. After the explosion, people were evacuated and resettled away from the 30-kilometer exclusion zone around the nuclear plant, and the zone is still strictly controlled. The fires began on the 3rd of April in the western part of the exclusion zone and spread to nearby forests, some of which in the part of the zone that still has higher radiation. According to an Ukrainian ecology inspection body's statement, radiation in the epicenter of the fire exceeds the acceptable norm. Now, British racing great Sir Stirling Moss has passed away at the age of 90 today following a long illness. Described as the greatest Formula One racing driver to never win the World Championship, Sir Stirling won a total of 212 victories across all competitions. Moss contested 66 Grand Prix from 1951 to 1961, driving for the likes of Van Wall, Maserati and Mercedes, where he famously formed a contented and ruthlessly effective partnership with lead driver Juan Manuel Fangio. He was also the first British driver to win a home Grand Prix in 1955 at Aintree and won 16 of the 66 F1 races he competed in from 1951 to 1961. A four-time runner-up in the F1 Drivers' Championship, he was named BBC Sports Personality of the Year in 1961 and was knighted in 2000. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.